Here is a combined summary of the 2 pages. The field of fairness in artificial intelligence for medical image analysis has rapidly grown, and ensuring fairness in all stages of development and deployment is crucial. Various sources of bias, including those related to data collection, model training, and clinical deployment, can impact the fairness of machine learning algorithms in medical image computing. Recent research has shown that AI systems can exhibit systematic bias against certain populations, and unique characteristics necessitate the adaptation of fairness notions to ensure equitable outcomes across different subpopulations. Biases in automated systems are multicausal and may emerge at various stages of development, from dataset construction to model deployment. Sources of bias can be coarsely divided into 3 categories: data, models, and people. Data imbalance is a major source of bias, often resulting in lower performance for underrepresented groups. Biases may also emerge due to differences in imaging data properties between protected groups, domain shift, and spurious correlations via shortcut learning. The chapter highlights several open challenges that need to be addressed, including the impact of biased metrics when auditing for fairness, the leveling down effect, task difficulty variations among subgroups, discovering biases in unseen populations, and explaining biases beyond standard demographic attributes. The authors discuss common pitfalls observed when auditing fairness with biased metrics, how to address the leveling down effect, and the importance of discovering biases in unseen populations and explaining biases beyond considering standard demographic attributes. The authors stress that this chapter is not intended to provide answers but to ask questions and highlight problems that constitute important avenues for future research. The chapter aims to raise questions and provide food for thought for those aiming to enter this research field, covering a variety of topics and providing a comprehensive overview of the challenges and open issues in fairness of artificial intelligence for medical image analysis. Open challenges on fairness of artificial intelligence in medical imaging applications. The fairness of AI systems in medical imaging applications, MIC, is a pressing concern, as these systems are increasingly used for diagnosis and treatment. This chapter discusses the main potential sources of bias in AI systems for MIC, including data, models, and people. Data bias can occur due to various factors such as differences in health access, disparities in the distribution of pathologies, and differences in data quality across multiple sites. For instance, social groups defined by race, ethnicity, and income tend to seek medical help later, resulting in differences in the progression and severity of their condition at imaging time. Moreover, data balance is crucial throughout the development of the model to prevent overfitting and ensure stable learning for all protected groups. Model bias can also arise from the choice of model class, complexity, regularization, and training strategy. Deep learning models, although powerful tools, present challenges due to their propensity for shortcut learning and lack of transparency. They often suffer from calibration problems, leading to inaccurate uncertainty reports, which can be particularly problematic in the medical domain where multiple sources of information are combined to diagnose a pathology. Finally, people involved in the collection of data, model development, and final deployment can introduce bias. The AI community faces a structural diversity crisis, including strong underrepresentation in terms of gender and race. This lack of representation limits the ability of research groups to envision scenarios under which their systems might fail or behave unfairly. In conclusion, achieving fairness in AI systems for MIC is an open challenge that requires careful consideration of data, models, and people. Addressing these biases will involve developing schemes that retain the predictive power of DL models while incorporating inductive biases that favor generalization for under or even unrepresented subpopulations. The paper discusses the challenges of ensuring fairness in artificial intelligence applications, particularly in medical imaging. It highlights the need for diverse development and deployment teams to address biases. The authors emphasize the importance of considering local realities and the fluid nature of protected groups. They also discuss the limitations of metrics like the Dice coefficient, which can exhibit concerning properties varying across demographic groups. The example of using the Dice coefficient for segmenting organs in X-ray images is provided, highlighting how it may favor larger structures. The paper suggests adopting unbiased estimates of segmentation quality and addressing differences in image resolution. It also touches on the need for model calibration in image classification tasks. The authors conclude that ensuring fairness in AI systems requires a deep understanding of the complexities involved and a commitment to addressing these challenges through diverse and inclusive development processes. In the medical domain, quantifying predictive uncertainty is crucial for interpretability and clinical decision-making. However, miscalibrated models can result in higher error rates. Auditing for fairness in terms of calibration gaps for different demographic groups is highly important. Recent studies have shown that standard metrics used to measure model calibration, like the expected calibration error, ECE, are heavily biased with respect to sample size, becoming monotonically worse with fewer samples in the evaluation set. This could lead to misleading results when analyzing ECE gaps in different subpopulations. The current trend in machine learning fairness, focusing exclusively on improving a fairness metric or reducing the performance gap between different demographic groups, may have negative consequences, such as the leveling down effect. This occurs when fairness is achieved at the expense of making every group worse off, or by bringing better performing groups down to the level of the worst performing ones. Such an outcome may arise after application of sophisticated methods, but could actually be readily achieved by a trivial solution. In the context of healthcare, recent work discusses the impact of the leveling down effect and proposes a path towards achieving fairness via leveling up. Imagine a computer-assisted diagnosis system that shows higher performance for an adult population when comparing with a pediatric population. To reduce such gap in performance, the solution should then try to level up the worst group performance, i.e., in the pediatric group, instead of reducing the gap by delivering a worse standard of care to the adult population. However, achieving such a goal with standard bias mitigation methods is not straightforward, and it actually constitutes a very important challenge in the field. To overcome this limitation, the first step is to be aware of this issue and avoid reporting and analyzing only performance gaps or worst group accuracy alone. We must also accompany this analysis by looking at average and subgroup model performance for both advantaged and disadvantaged groups. There are many paths that can be considered to achieve fairness by leveling up performance in the disadvantaged group. The challenges of mitigating the leveling down effect in fairness of artificial intelligence in medical imaging applications persist, with no definitive solutions currently available. One of the open questions is whether differences in task difficulty for different demographic subgroups contribute to biases in model performance. For instance, diagnosing thoracic diseases in X-ray images is more challenging for women due to the shadow projected by the female breast, which may occlude a lung opacity. Similarly, differences in breast density between subgroups of women may increase complexity when diagnosing breast cancer. However, recent work suggests that dataset-specific factors, rather than inherent physiological differences, may be the primary cause of gender-based performance discrepancies in chest X-ray analysis. When auditing fairness in medical imaging applications, it is essential to consider the potential biases in unseen populations. A recent study found that fairness properties may not transfer across distribution shifts, and a system that seems fair for a given source population may not be fair for a different target population. For instance, a system designed to diagnose a disease in a pediatric hospital may not be fair when deployed in a general hospital with adult patients. The lack of ground truth annotations in the new population poses a significant challenge, and designing methods that can anticipate biases in unseen populations becomes crucial. Recent work proposes leveraging automatic quality indices estimated in the absence of ground truth to perform fairness audits and detect biases and gaps in performance. For example, in anatomical segmentation, a task prone to biases due to underrepresentation of certain demographic groups, a method based on the reverse classification accuracy framework can estimate performance gaps between demographic groups. This involves building a reverse classifier that employs a single test image along with its predicted segmentation as a substitute for actual ground truth. The performance of this classifier is then used as an indirect measure of the predicted segmentation's quality. Auditing fairness and biases in medical AI systems is crucial, particularly in medical imaging applications. A simple method can discover biases with respect to demographic attributes during anatomical segmentation. However, an open challenge lies in rethinking the way we audit biases, specifically in defining demographic groups under analysis. The foundational paper by Joy Bulamwini and Timot Gebru demonstrated strong biases against dark female individuals in commercial face recognition systems, highlighting the importance of considering intersectional demographic and phenotypical attributes. Bias audits typically follow group fairness approaches, selecting predefined demographic attributes and comparing performance among subgroups. However, it is essential to audit biases with respect to other attributes or potential confounders that go beyond standard demographic characteristics, such as anatomical properties, hospitalization conditions, and imaging machine parameters. These features could be leveraged by machine learning models as shortcuts for predictions, leading to overlooked biases. Recent studies have addressed this problem by proposing novel methodologies. Adversarially reweighted learning (ARL) strategy, introduced by Lahoti and coworkers, implements a minimax game between a learner and adversary to identify regions where the learner makes significant errors. This approach does not require demographic metadata and can help mitigate biases for unknown protected groups. Another approach, proposed by Stone and coworkers, uses Bayesian neural networks with an epistemic uncertainty-weighted loss function to dynamically identify potential biases and reweight samples during training. Counterfactual image generation has also been leveraged to explain biases and combine with distribution ally robust optimization (DRO) to address biases caused by hospitalization artifacts. Text-based explanations generated by large vision language models have been proposed, but their validation in medical imaging remains unexplored. These methods increase transparency and active demand from the medical community regarding ML models. Ensuring fairness in AI for medical imaging is crucial, and common pitfalls and open challenges must be addressed. Biases can creep in at various stages of development, and metrics used to check fairness might be biased themselves. The variability in task difficulty among different demographic subgroups adds complexity, and there is no definitive answer as to how this issue should be addressed. Novel methodologies capable of producing early warnings and identifying biases in unseen and in-labeled populations are essential. The research paper discusses the open challenges on fairness in artificial intelligence (AI) applications in medical imaging. It highlights the need for a more sophisticated understanding of fairness, encompassing biases beyond standard demographic attributes. The authors emphasize the importance of addressing biases preemptively and exploring biases that transcend standard demographic attributes. They also acknowledge the subjective nature of selecting challenges and emphasize the complexity of the journey towards trustworthy AI in medical imaging. The paper references various studies on fairness in AI, including works on demographic imbalance in medical imaging datasets, bias in radiology AI, and the need for calibration in medical machine learning. It concludes by emphasizing the need for continuous efforts to address new challenges as they arise. The paper discusses open challenges on fairness of artificial intelligence in medical imaging applications. It highlights the importance of understanding and addressing bias in AI systems, particularly in healthcare where decisions can have significant consequences for patient outcomes. The authors provide a comprehensive overview of various studies that have investigated bias in medical AI, including gender bias for chest X-ray diagnosis, fairness in cardiac MR image analysis, and unsupervised bias discovery in medical image segmentation. The paper also delves into methods for mitigating bias, such as reverse classification accuracy, adversarially reweighted learning, and epistemic uncertainty-weighted loss. Moreover, it touches upon the need for distribution ally robust neural networks to ensure worst-case generalization across different groups. The authors emphasize the importance of considering fairness and bias in AI development to ensure equitable healthcare outcomes. Furthermore, the paper presents several case studies illustrating the impact of bias on medical AI performance, including breast cancer research and cardiac MR image analysis. These examples underscore the necessity of addressing bias to improve the reliability and trustworthiness of AI-driven medical diagnoses. In conclusion, the paper underscores the critical role of fairness and bias mitigation in medical AI, emphasizing the need for continued research and development in this area to ensure that AI systems are equitable and effective for all patients.